Welcome back, ELA Masters. I am so excited to get to read Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes, Chapter 3, with you today. Remember, all that we have to do as good readers, thinking about what is fact, what is fiction, and what I'm learning about the past, what it was like living in Japan after the atomic bombs were dropped. Scholars, remember that to access the text, you can go to Resources and click where it says Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes to pull up our book. You also can access that using this link that says click below for the full text. Let's go ahead and skip to Chapter 3. Chapter 3, Sadako's Secret. As a good reader, I'm thinking to myself, well, I know that Sadako seems to be really close to their family. I wonder what kind of secret she might have. It was the beginning of autumn when Sadako rushed home with the good news. She kicked off her shoes and threw open the door with a bang. "I'm home," she called. Her mother was fixing supper in the kitchen. "The most wonderful thing has happened," Sadako said breathlessly. "Guess what?" "Many wonderful things happened to you, Sadako-chan. I can't even guess." Remember, that word chan is used after many Japanese names to show love and affection. "Many wonderful things happened to you, Sadako-chan. I can't even guess." "The big race on field day," Sadako said. "I've been chosen from the bamboo class to be on the relay team." She danced around the room, gaily swinging her school bag. "Just think, if we win, I'll be sure to get on the team in junior high school next year." That was what Sadako wanted more than anything else. Scholars, what happened with Sadako's day today? Tell me. Right. She's been chosen to be on the relay team. Wow. Let's keep reading. At supper, Mr. Sasaki made a long speech about family honor and pride. Even Masahiro was impressed. Sadako was too excited to eat. She just sat there, grinning happily. "ELA Masters, why do you think Mr. Sasaki made a long speech about family honor and pride? Tell me." Right. I love how many of you were talking about Mr. Sasaki's character perspective about Sadako. It sounds like he feels very proud that Sadako had the honor of being chosen to be on this relay race team. So he feels proud. Let's go ahead and add that to our Google form. What was Mr. Sasaki's perspective of Sadako being chosen for the field day relay race team? He feels proud. If you need to, pause your video to type that in now. Good. Let's keep reading. Sadako was too excited to eat. She just sat there, grinning happily. From then on, Sadako thought of only one thing: the relay race. She practiced every day at school and often ran all the way home. When Masahiro timed her with Mr. Sasaki's big watch, Sadako's speed surprised everyone. Maybe, she dreamed, I will be the best runner in the whole school. ELA Masters, what does it sound like Sadako's motivation is? What does she want? Tell me. Right. ELA Masters, I can tell from Sadako's feelings, being excited and thinking of only one thing, the relay race, and her actions, practicing every day. It sounds like Sadako really wants to win the relay race. If you thought that, give me a high five. Let's add that to our Google form. Sadako, and make sure that we start with the word wants to win the relay race. We know that if she wins the relay race, she will likely be chosen to be on the junior high relay team next year. Great, friends. Let's think about how Sadako practiced every single day. She wanted to make sure that she could even qualify to be the best runner in the whole school. What does that tell us that Sadako is like? What is a character trait we can use to describe her? Tell me. Right. I heard a lot of you saying determined or hardworking. Nice thinking, friends. I agree. One fourth grade word we can use to describe Sadako is ambitious. She wants to be successful and be the best. She is ambitious. If you need to, pause your video to type that in now. Great, friends. Before we move on, what do you predict? Do you think that Sadako will win the relay race? Tell me. Let's read to find out. At last, the big day arrived. A crowd of parents, relatives, and friends gathered at the school to watch the sports events. Sadako was so nervous, she was afraid her legs wouldn't work at all. Members of the other team suddenly looked taller and stronger than her teammates. When Sadako told her mother how she felt, Mrs. Sasaki said, "Sadako-chan, it is natural to be a little bit afraid, but don't worry. When you get out there, you will run as fast as you can." Then it was time for the relay race. "Just do your best," Mr. Sasaki said, giving Sadako's hand a squeeze. "We'll be proud of you." The kind words from her parents made the knot in Sadako's stomach loosen. They love me no matter what, she thought. At the signal to start, Sadako forgot everything but the race. When it was her turn, she ran with all the strength she had. Sadako's heart was still thumping painfully against her ribs when the race was over. It was then that she first felt strange and dizzy. She scarcely heard someone cry, "Your team won!" The bamboo class surrounded Sadako, cheering and shouting. She shook her head a few times, and the dizziness went away. ELA Masters, does it sound like Sadako achieved her motivation? Tell me. Yes, she won the relay race. Let's keep reading. All winter, Sadako tried to improve her running speed. Again, very ambitious. To qualify for the racing team in junior high, she would have to practice every day. Sometimes, after a long run, the dizziness returned. Sadako decided not to tell her family about it. She tried to convince herself that it meant nothing, that the dizziness would go away. But it didn't. It got worse. ELA Masters, it sounds like we have a problem. Can you tell me what you think it is? Right. Every time Sadako goes on long runs, she feels dizzy, and it seems like it's getting worse. What problem does Sadako have after running? She feels dizzy. If you need to, pause your video to write that in now. Let's keep reading. She tried to convince herself that it meant nothing, that the dizziness would go away. But it didn't. It got worse. Frightened, Sadako carried the secret inside of her. She didn't even tell Chizuko, her best friend. On New Year's Eve, Sadako hoped she could magically wish away the dizzy spells. How perfect everything would be if she didn't have this secret. At midnight, she was in her cozy bed quilts when the temple bells began to chime. They were ringing out all the evils of the old year so that the new one would have a fine beginning. With each ring, Sadako drowsily made her special wish. ELA Masters, remember, at the beginning of this chapter, we know that the heading was Sadako's secret. Can you tell me now, what is Sadako's secret? Right, that she is feeling dizzy after all of her runs. I also noticed that she decided to keep it a secret from her family and even her best friend Chizuko. I wonder what would motivate her to do that? Let's think. Scholars, I know that I'm also thinking about Sadako's motivation and her character traits. She's ambitious and really wants to make this team next year. I don't think that her family or her best friend would be too happy to hear that it's causing her to feel dizzy. This sounds like a tough spot. I'd better reflect on this in my historical fiction journal. How would I think or feel? Let's keep reading. The next morning, the Sasaki family joined crowds of people as they visited their shrines. Mrs. Sasaki looked beautiful in her best flowered silk kimono. As soon as we can afford it, I'll buy a kimono for you, she promised Sadako. A girl your age should have one. Sadako thanked her mother politely, but she didn't care about a kimono. She only cared about racing with the team in junior high. ELA Masters, by the way, a kimono looks like this. It's a loose dressing garment with wide sleeves that is traditionally worn with a broad sash or belt by a Japanese person. It can be worn by men and women, but typically the women's are made out of this beautiful silk and lovely patterns, just like maybe what Mrs. Sasaki's look like. By the way, kimono is a secret word, so make sure that you type that in at the bottom of our form. Kimono. Does your family have something special that they wear only for the holidays? Make sure that you type that in the private comments when you're done with our assignment. Good. Let's keep reading, friends. Amidst throngs of happy people, Sadako forgot her secret for a while. She let the bright joy of the season wash her worries away. At the end of the day, she raced Masahiro home and won easily. Above the door were the good luck symbols Mrs. Sasaki had put there to protect them during the new year. ELA Masters, make sure that you double check your answers to the questions and you rewind our video for the secret word if you didn't catch it before moving on. Remember, as a good reader, whenever I read fiction, I need to pay close attention to that problem that we just read about today. I wonder, what will Sadako do about her secret, about feeling dizzy? And thinking about her motivation, how she wants to be a part of that team and she wanted to win that race. Do you think that she should have kept it a secret from her family and friends? Something to think about as we move on to our questions.